So can you give us an update on Juwan's situation with his knee?
Juwan's just fighting a right knee injury that we've, the docs, we've looked at his knee. We know what's going on with his knee. It just gets irritated, gets swollen. So we just have to really monitor his time on the floor. Coach does a great job with monitoring his time during practices, get him in when we can, get great looks for him, knows what his responsibilities are on defense, how we're going to defend this next week, what our offensive schemes and all those things are going to be, and just try to limit the amount of pounding that he gets on the floor. So his knee's just going to swell up from time to time. So we're doing all the little things to make sure that we keep that under control.
What kind of little things?
We do. There's all sorts of different modalities that we can use in the training room. The biggest thing is compression. We constantly have a sleeve that's on his knee. We always want to try and maintain that compression on there. So we always keep that, maintain the compression on his knee. Needs to keep a knee sleeve on there, basically 24/7, just to keep that pressure on there. And then we've got the Normatex, we've got Game Readies, anything that's ice, compression, elevation, any of those types of things we would use on any type of anything that had swelling on it. And then the good news about his swelling is that it doesn't shut him down as far as his ability to fire his quad. So if it were doing that, we might take a little different measure. But every so often, team physician, Dr. Shoup will be like, well, let's see if we can drain this knee. It's always had good looking fluid on that as far as those things go. So Dr. Shoup feels comfortable with doing a drain on that every once in a while if it swells back up on him. But he's been able to be really functional with what he's got. And so that's kind of the battle that we have, and we'll continue to fight throughout the rest of the year.
Coach and Juwan have told us that they drained it around Charleston, and then after Texas State, and then last Monday.
Last Monday. We drained it last Monday. And well, there's a number of different things that we've done with it, different type of injections that we may put in there to help with the reason why he's getting the inflammation. So he's got some articular cartilage wear is what he's got in there, and it's a non-weight bearing area. So fine with him participating as long as he can be under control, and that's what I mean by his quad still has good quad control, his knee still has good quad control, ability to protect himself, even though he might have some swelling that's on that knee. So he has the ability, you can see he plays really well, runs really well. It doesn't hinder him that much. It's kind of getting used to the fact that I've got some swelling on my knee. And so every so often we do, the team physician will be like, oh, let's go ahead and drain it. We don't want to get in the habit of draining it all the time. And so you just don't want to be doing that.
Is there something, if you drain it so much, is there diminishing returns on that, or does it long-term issues?
Early on, the plan was we would drain it, and then there's certain medications that you want to put in there. So there's different things that you can use for these types of injuries that we're putting in there for that articular cartilage. Things that are ideally you want to try and help it heal. So what the team physicians don't want to do is have to invade the joint more than it needs to be invaded. So anytime that you're doing an injection or you're aspirating the knee or draining the knee, you want to decrease your risk of the possibilities of any infection. So you don't want to get in the habit of doing this every other day. Once a week, we kind of wait and give it some time in between those.
How long does the drainage take, and is there any recovery time?
He can go right away with the draining. Usually the next day he's going to be a little sore from the needle, but he's ready to go. What we have done is, if we were putting a type of medication into his knee, whatever the physician was putting in there at that time, you do want to give him some time off during that. You want to see if the medication you put in there gives some time for it to get better. Okay. And so you don't want to just throw him right back into the fire right away. So we did that right at Christmas. We had about 4 days off there. It was a perfect time for us to put as much in there as we could to try and help that area of articular wear help heal up. And it worked, it works. But then you're right back into run, jump, start, stop. and so it'll swell up a little bit on him. And so the good news is it doesn't just get bigger and bigger and bigger. It just kind of swells back to its spot and just kind of maintains right there.
And how long does it take to do that process? It's a couple minutes to drain it?
To drain? Oh yeah, it takes our team physicians doesn't take them much time at all. The prep probably takes longer than the draining. So.
What's the long term here for him? Is this
We'll
gonna
scope it at the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah. So the problem with scoping it right now, in what the physicians are telling me now, is that it's unpredictable on what the return to play would be. And so he has an injury that he's able to play with. It's not making it any worse to be playing. Like we say, it's in a non-weight bearing area of his knee. So we're not necessarily making the problem worse. And he has the ability to protect himself. So we wouldn't let anyone go out there. Lots of guys have different, little injuries here and there. And what determines whether or not we would let them go is, do they have the ability to protect themselves? So like I say, this swelling that he gets on his knee, he still remains very functional, and he has the ability to fire his quad. His quads work really good, and has the ability to protect himself. So.